doing the quarantine thing tonight. And so here's what we're going to talk about tonight. So Josh is a business coach, but he's really a what he likes to call himself a push coach, and I truly love that aspect about him and his business, because a lot of times as a former coach myself, people will sit in the pool of never going anywhere, water kind of thing. So they basically will call and or meet with you or however, and they never take steps to moving forward. And Josh just has a way about him that's like no nonsense. I've said this before a lot in our group. He's a push coach. He doesn't want you to invest in something and then not get the results that you were wanting. And so we're all here for a reason. We are all looking to improve our lives in many, many ways. And I just think that Josh is a great leader in that respect. He coaches a lot of top earners in lots of different companies. He's got some experience of his own. He's written a book called F Leadership. Totally speaks my language when it comes to that. So I'm going to let Josh take it away. This is just a moment in time that we are all, every single one of us, is living through right now. And honestly, I truly believe that when you put your sights on the future of where you want to be and work towards those goals versus where you are, you will be successful. So I'm going to let Josh take it away.
Cool. Hey, can you do me a huge favor, Angelique?
Yes.
Can you hit the mute all button and then unmute me? Because that'll make sure that people that come on in the middle of the meeting will also be muted.
Sure.
Go down to the
Where
participants. Click on the participants down at the bottom, and it'll pop up like a little thing, and there'll be an option to hit mute all.
Okay.
Got it? All right, perfect. Thanks. I appreciate that. I just know that we might have some new people joining us and people aren't always aware that they're unmuted. And then it's like really fun for 5 seconds while we try to figure out who's unmuted. So as Angelique was saying, I'm a push coach. I went through John Maxwell's certification program about 6 years ago and have spent 6 years on the John Maxwell team and 5 years specifically working with network marketers, and essentially translating personal growth and leadership into a language that network marketers can understand. I've personally found that network marketing is unlike any other industry in the world. And even though I'm not personally a network marketer, working exclusively with network marketers has allowed me to behind the scenes, be in the trenches with you, finding out like, there are just some things, like I'll give you one example, and we're going to talk a little bit about this tonight. John Maxwell talks about walking through the crowds and touching all of the people and talking to all the people. And sometimes as a network marketer, that's confusing because you start to think that your job is to find every single person and shake their hand and serve them and be there for them and do everything that they need. But you didn't realize that John Maxwell was talking about a company that he runs where he has employees who get paid and actually showed up for work that day. In network marketing, it's different because you're mentoring business owners who sometimes don't even show up for work every single day. And he doesn't talk about going to people's houses and knocking on their door and asking why they didn't show up for work. He's talking about going through the office to the people who actually showed up for work. So there's so many different things that when we're talking about network marketing and mentoring other business owners, there's a lot of things that sometimes get taken out of context when you're trying to translate from, like, say, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership to network marketing. And so what I've done is essentially just started taking these principles, and I always say that I have an outside inside view. And what I mean by that is sometimes as a network marketer, you're on the inside and you're emotionally attached to the situations that you're in and the decisions that you're trying to make. I'm outside of the situation. And how many of you know it's always easier to see what's wrong in someone else's relationship? Like your own relationship is hard. Like sometimes it's like, well, I'm not doing anything wrong. For an outsider, it's very easy to see that you're being selfish or that you're whatever that looks like, correct? And so that's the beauty of me being on the outside, is I kind of get to look and see what's going on. but then also knowing enough about it to actually understand the way it's set up and it works. And some people like to write books and then put the word network marketing next to it and pretend that they know network marketing. And the reality is they don't really know network marketing. They just heard somebody say that, oh yeah, network marketers are really, really, really good customers to have. And by the way, if you write a best-selling book, they'll invite you to speak at conference, right? So there's a really big difference between someone actually understanding it and someone who writes a book that tries to apply it. So tonight I want to talk to you about specific leadership that I think will absolutely revolutionize the way you do life and business. And this is a John Maxwell principles taken from his book called Becoming a Person of Influence. And essentially he talks about these 4 M's. Technically it was 3 M's plus a D, but I turned it into 4 M's because I thought it was catchier. So I want you to write down these words because this is what we're going to talk about tonight, how to apply it to your business to make sure that you are getting the most results with the least amount of time, the least amount of stress, the least amount of overwhelm. Because if we're going to be in the middle of a crisis, how many of you know that life's already overwhelming? The last thing we need to do is make business overwhelming. And I think that sometimes when we don't have a clear plan and a clear focus, we make business more overwhelming than what it needs to be. We make it harder than what it really needs to be. And I want to give you some clear steps to help you understand business and leadership all in one, okay? So those 4 words are model, motivate, mentor, multiply. Model, motivate, mentor, multiply. And we're going to go through these one at a time because at the end of the day, if you're in network marketing, multiply is the end goal, correct? If you're not trying to multiply, you're not really in network marketing. You're really just in direct sales. And there's a really big difference between network marketing and direct sales. Direct sales means I get a commission every single time I sell something, but that's really it. Network marketing is I'm trying to build a team full of people who also sell so that I not just get commission, but I get like volume and roll up volume and all of these other beautiful things. This is where we get the word residual income. And I don't know about you guys, but residual income is one of the reasons people do network marketing. If you're not going to multiply, again, there's really no point in having a network marketing business. You might as well just go try to build 50,000 followers on Instagram and hand out coupon codes. And if you ask me, that's not a really good way to do business or life, right? Like I would like to do more than share coupon codes and get discounts on my favorite products. Like I want to make residual income so that I can make money and make a better life for my family. But if multiply is the end goal, I have to walk through these other 3 stages in order to get there, okay? So the first stage is model. And next to the word model, I want you to write this. I have to show up the way I want them to show up. And this sounds so obvious. It sounds like common sense, but it's just not. Again, because you're emotionally attached to your business. We don't always see common sense in our own situation, right? You must show up the way you want them to show up. I heard someone say a couple years ago, every single night before you go to bed, ask yourself, if my team showed up the way I did today, would they be successful? Sometimes it's really easy to get better at preaching than we are at acting. That is, as we would all call it in religion or politics or in any other area of life, we would call that a hypocrite, correct? And yet in business, this is something that I see a lot. I see a lot of people that are constantly frustrated with the lack of motivation their team has. And at the end of the day, I need you to understand that if you really want to have success, you have to get really, really, really good at controlling everything that you can control. And that starts with your attitude, with your energy, and your actions. And if you don't model the proper activity, the proper attitude, and the proper energy, you can never, ever, ever expect that to expand to anyone else. Now, I will say sometimes we get people who have the right attitude, but they don't really have the right action. And it's really cool if you want to be a positive person, you want to be like happy and excited and love everybody. That's awesome. But I personally believe that love is a verb. It's something you put into motion. And therefore everything in business it's either in motion or it really doesn't mean anything. At the same time, we have some people that put in the right action. In other words, they check off, they love, love, love to-do lists, and they will check every single check mark on every single thing on every single list, but they don't bring the right attitude and the right energy. And that's also a big, huge problem because people are drawn to energy. And I've seen so many people that say, Josh, I'm doing all the things. Why doesn't it work for me? Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? And there becomes this dangerous place in business, guys, where you can find yourself so obsessed with the hows. In other words, trying to figure out how to get this to work, how Facebook groups, how this. Do I need to be on Instagram? Do I not need to be on Instagram? What about like pages? What about ads? And we get so obsessed with all of the different things that we could be doing that we don't have the right energy and attitude anymore about what we should be doing. In other words, we allow all of the how-tos to suck the life and energy out of our business. I like to refer to this as we have to stick with day one excitement. If you can't stick to day one excitement, it will be almost impossible for you to grow this business because nobody really cares as much about what you have accomplished or achieved as much as they care about how much you've been transformed. I personally believe that all true personal development and all true success, all of it is on the inside first. I've said for years that our outward success is just an expression of our inward growth. Like, that's it. And if you are looking for outward success beyond your internal growth, then I believe that that's when things start to collapse. So I want you to think of modeling the right behaviors, okay? Not just as the intro level in, but I want you to also think of it as the foundation of the house you're trying to build. And I want you to understand that if you ever get to a point where you stop modeling the right behaviors, all of the foundation becomes cracked and everything else comes falling to the ground. So one of the things that I want to warn you about is I see a lot of people get to the point where they have a team and they get really excited about this thing called leadership. And this is the whole reason I wrote a book called F Leadership. Like, what kind of words is that, F Leadership? The reason I wrote this book is because so many people get a team and they get a little ahead of themselves and they think, oh my God, I finally have a team. Now it's time to be a leader. And they start thinking that I don't have to model the right behaviors because now I have a team. Now it's my job to motivate people, to mentor people, to create resources and trainings. And all of a sudden it's like we're obsessed with seeing how many things we can fill the Facebook group full of files, how many documents we can have, how many should have an automated onboarding. We get so obsessed with becoming a good leader that we stop leading by example. And if I were to ask any of you right now, give me your definition of leader, I'd be willing to bet not one of you would say the person who creates the most resources. I'd be willing to bet every single one of you would say something along the lines of leads by example, practices what they preach, is in the trenches, cares about people, has good character, which means they do what they say. In other words, a true leader is more about your character than it is your charisma. I think I'm going to say that again. A true leader is more about your character than your charisma. And unfortunately, sometimes when we look to leaders in our company and we see people that are really successful, we see the charisma because it shows up on their Instagram. It shows up on their Facebook. When they speak at the conference, it shows up on stage. But we never, ever, ever think about the character because character is what you do when nobody's watching. Character is what you do that we can't see. I can't see how many conversations you started with people today unless you show me your inbox, right? And I think that this is actually one of the hardest parts about training people in a social media-based business. Even if you weren't social media-based, now you are with everything that's going on, right? The hardest thing about a social media-based business is the only thing we really see from people is their posting. And so we start to think that being a good leader is about having the right pictures and filters and words. And we don't realize being a good leader is about showing up on a daily basis and doing the unsexy things like reaching out to new people, building relationships, asking people to try your product, asking people if they're interested in joining your team. All of this is the stuff we don't see, and yet it's the thing that the house is built on. And I see this happen over and over and over. People get a team, get excited, put all of their focus on leading the team, and they stop building the next group of people to join them, and give it 6 months and they no longer have a team. And the reason for that is because no matter how good of a leader you are, there is still this thing called turnover. And there will always be this thing called turnover because, I don't know if you guys have figured this out yet, there are a lot of flaky people. And I love all people. I love all people. I believe in all people, but let me say this, I do not trust people until they prove that they're trustworthy. And that's the hard part of being a leader, and that's what we're going to talk about in the Motivate and Mentor section, is I have to be smart enough as a business owner, guys. I want you to think about this for a second. Yes, I'm building a team, but I'm also a business owner, okay? If I own a local restaurant and I put all of my time and energy into keeping my current customers happy and zero energy into getting new customers, what's going to happen a year from now? Well, unfortunately, other restaurants are going to open in the next year, correct? And even my best customers in the world still might find other restaurants that they like. And even if I gave them all of the best service in the world, at the end of the day, if they like Cane's dipping sauce more than they like Chick-fil-A's dipping sauce, they're going to go to Cane's if it makes more sense for them. If you've never heard of those, most of you have heard of Chick-fil-A. Cane's, I don't know if everyone has a Cane's or not. Here in Oklahoma, we have a Cane's. And it's like, which one do you prefer? I don't know. What do you feel like having today? So the point is, there's always going to be something new for your customers. And you can't, no matter how hard you try, you cannot do anything in the world to keep everyone. You just won't. I wish we could. I wish there was a way. But in all honesty, to even try to keep everyone, in my opinion, is unethical. Because for me personally, I love this statement by Zig Ziglar that says you can have anything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want. At the end of the day, our job is not to keep people forever. Our job is to help people get what they want in life. And some of them want this opportunity for the next 3 months, for the next 6 months, for the next year. And some of them, thank God, do want it for the rest of their life, but some of them don't. And that's okay. And so I have to understand that modeling, adding new customers and adding new people to my team is the foundation that this whole thing is built on. And if I ever at any point stop doing this, I'm telling you, I've watched it happen over and over and over and over. The house starts to fall apart. And when the house starts to fall apart, it's a very scary thing because you start to lose your confidence and you start to question if this thing even works and if you have what it takes. And it's a long process. I've helped a lot of people through it, but it's a long process to rebuild that confidence and rebuild that routine. So I need you. Life is just so much easier if you'll just understand. Modeling is just part of the business, and it's something I'm going to have to get used to doing for the rest of my life. Now, I do think that along the way, you can hire assistants to help do some of that work. I do think that along the way, you can get strategic about learning things like Facebook ads to help automate some of that stuff. But at the end of the day, getting new people will always be a part of your job. Does that make sense? Now, let's move on to Motivate and Mentor, because these are the ones that get real tricky, okay? Next to Motivate, I want you to write this: no strings attached. And next to Mentor, I want you to write this: they got to earn it. So I want to give you an analogy to help you understand the difference between these two things, because this is the two things that people get confused the most. And I think this is where leadership becomes dangerous, okay? Because in most network marketing companies, when people join your downline, usually we call it your team or dominion, or we've got some type of a name that kind of symbolizes team, if you will. So we start thinking that anyone that signs up under us, anyone who decides they want to build a business, they decide that they're going to sign up for the recruiting opportunity, in our head, we start to kind of think of them as our team. And whether you played sports like I did or not, I think everyone understands what a team means, right? Team means we all show up for practice. We all make the same sacrifices. We all have the same commitment level. So we're all prepared for game day. Now, here's where this gets a little crazy. Someone says, hey, Sue, yep, I want to join the team. I'm committed. I'm all in. I want to make extra money. I'm so passionate about this. I'm here for it. And then a week later, we never hear from them again. And we're like, wait a second. I thought you said you were here for it. You were all in. What happened? Now, here's the thing. We got tricked. Someone says they're all in. They're here for it. They're ready to do this. And so what do? Well, like any good leader who, thinks that this person is telling the truth, you go all in on mentorship. I'm going to get on one-on-one calls with you. I'm going to teach you everything in the back office. I'm going to show you everything that I've shown you. And a week later, they're gone forever, and all of your time has been thrown down the trash. And if you keep going down this path long enough, eventually you'll get to the point where either one, you think everybody in the world sucks. That's not a good place to be if you're a leader. Or two, you think there's something wrong with you and you suck. And that's also not a good place to be as a leader. Leadership is so much about your confidence to keep showing up and keep helping people. And if you lose that, we just don't really have anything to offer, do we? So here's an analogy I want to help you understand that's going to literally transform the way you see leadership and people joining your team, okay? Now, you can still call it your team page, anything. You can still call it that, okay? But in your head, I want you to realize when someone joins the business opportunity, okay, they're just coming into your stadium, not necessarily joining your team, okay? You got a football stadium, okay? And they bought a ticket to come on into the game. But that does not mean that they're willing to show up for practice every single day. It doesn't mean that they're willing to commit the way you are to watching film and studying the playbook. The only thing it means is that they thought the game was cool enough. They thought they would come hang around. And yes, they might buy a jersey. And yes, they might get a ball cap and buy some nachos and a 6-pack of beer. But it doesn't mean they're there to play. Now, here's, again, what's confusing is sometimes we ask people, yo, do you want to rank advance? Do you want to earn the cruise? Do you want to get, the bonuses? And people are like, yes, I want it. I'm here for it. And then why do all these people say they're here for it and then not live up to that? And I think this will make it like super clear for you, okay? I grew up playing sports my whole life. I was cursed a little bit at the fact that I'm only 5'9", weigh about 160 pounds. Just didn't have the natural abilities that it takes to play professional sports in the day and age where we live, where everyone's 6'9" and 250 pounds. But if I were sitting in the stands, okay, I'm a big time Kansas University basketball fan, okay? If I'm sitting out in the stands and Bill Self comes up to me and says, hey, Josh, we hear you used to play in high school. Do you want to throw on a jersey and play with us tonight? I would be like, hell yes. Give me the jersey right now. Let's go. Now, I would know that every single shot I put up is going to get blocked. I would know that I'm going to get a fool made out of myself. But if you ask me, do you want to put on a jersey and play? The answer is yes. I want to do it, right? Now, if Bill Self said, Josh, are you willing to come to practice every single morning at 5 a.m.? Are you willing to work out with us in the gym every single day? Are you willing to study our entire offense and memorize every single play and memorize the offense of every single team we play? And by the way, we play about every 3 days. So you're literally studying film nonstop. Are you willing to do all of that for the next year of your life for an opportunity to possibly sit on the bench? And I would say, no, thank you, sir. I appreciate the offer so much. I respect you so much, but I think I'll just sit in the stands, eat some nachos, drink some beer, and watch the game. Now, here's what's complicated, guys. We don't always tell people what it takes to reach the goals. We just ask people if they want to reach the goals. And even when we do lay out what it takes, people don't always really understand what that means until they actually get in the middle of it and try to do the work you do and run into the same obstacles that you run into. So here's what we got to understand, okay? Motivation with no strings attached. What that means is anytime someone joins my downline, okay? In my head, they just came into the stadium. And my job is to show up and motivate them on team calls, lives in the team page, creating resources, but with zero strings attached, meaning I'm not taking any one person and betting my entire life savings on them. I'm trusting that if I show up for my team the way I do for social media and literally expect nothing in return, but I just show up, I bring motivation, I bring energy, I bring resources, I'm going to trust that if I do that for enough people, someone will want to come join me on the field. But I'm not emotionally attached to any individual and whether that person's going to join me on the field. It's really dangerous because sometimes, especially in this business, we start using our personal connections to put emotional attachments on people. But this is my sister-in-law, and they really need this. I mean, they're struggling financially so bad, and I know they need this. I have found not equal someone working for it. Now, I needed it, and I was willing to work for it. We were barely paying the bills, barely buying groceries, barely putting gas in the car, almost evicted from our house over and over and over. But I was also one of the few people who was willing to commit to whatever work it took. And not everybody is willing to do that. So what I got to do is get really good at allowing anyone and everyone who wants to come into the stadium to come on in and deliver motivational resources as an ongoing tryout, okay? So motivation, next to it, I also want you to write the ongoing tryout. Meaning, I'm gonna watch how people respond to the tools and resources that I give. And the ones who actually use those tools and resources to go put in the work and start showing up for practice and doing what it takes to earn a spot on the field, those are the people I'm going to hand select for something called mentorship. Next to mentorship, you should have already written, you got to earn it, okay? But to help you understand a little bit more about the difference, mentorship is more of a one-on-one or small group relationship. In other words, I am personally invested in this person's business. And as a business owner, okay, you'd be a lot safer if you start using the word invest a lot more often and the word help less often. And I know that sometimes that goes against our natural intuition of wanting to help people. But here's the problem with our natural intuition to help people. We don't run charities, we run businesses. Now, if you want to run a charity, that's awesome. I love charity. I just did an event, was that a week and a half ago, to raise money for the World Health Organization. And we raised $12,000 for the World Health Organization. And it was awesome. And I'm so happy about that. So excited about that. But that was charity. And I understood that it was charity. That was not business. Okay. When I do business, and by the way, we had 20 speakers in 7 days, and all you had to do was donate $5 to charity. Now, for charity, I'm more than happy to do 20 calls in 7 days for a good cause. For the sake of my business, no way in hell I would ever do 20 calls in 7 days at $5 a person. Insane, would never offer that. So you need to understand the difference between what you're willing to do in the name of business and what you're willing to do in the name of charity. Because too many times in network marketing, because we love people and we care about people, we put our business on the back burner to do charity work. I talk about this a little bit in my book. I want you to imagine going to your spouse, your significant other, your children, whoever you have in your life, and saying, here's the thing. If I did the right amount of work, I could be making $100 an hour, $200 an hour, $300 an hour if I work hard enough. However, there's this person who really, really, really needs help. And so I decided to take a pay cut and work for more like $4 an hour to help this one person who doesn't really show up for work, doesn't really do any of the things that I tell her to do, and isn't even really trying. But I really care about her, so I'm going to take a $100 an hour pay cut. I'm really sorry that we can't go on the vacation that we wanted to go on this summer. I'm really sorry that I can't pay for you to go to college like I had hoped I could do. I'm really sorry that we're going to continue swimming in debt, but I really, really, really want to help this person. How many people feel good about that conversation with their kids? Probably not anybody. My first year in business, I learned this really valuable principle. I spent my entire 20s volunteering at church, which I still think is a wonderful thing to do, but I was working the full-time job that ate my soul. And so I was limited on how much time and energy I could give to my church. And there came a point when I was 30 where I said, Josh, you can spend the rest of your life doing charity work and letting your family suffer. Or at some point you can build a successful business and then you can give to charity anytime you want. And it was hard. It was really, really, really hard. But I just realized if I'll take 2 or 3 years and really commit myself, guys, and really put everything I've got, I can spend the rest of my life giving time or money or energy, anything I want to charity. $12,000 in 1 week to charity is more than I would have given the church in like 3 years. And I did that in 1 week. Because that's what happens when you get your priorities straight. And sometimes, guys, we make other people a higher priority than our own family's well-being. And I see this happen in network marketing the most because, let's be real, it's the only kind of business where you get to choose what work you do every single day. It's the only kind of business where there are some people who show up and some people who don't. And I need you to understand that as much as we love people and care for people, if you're trying to help everyone, you're usually not helping anyone. What you got to do is get really, really clear about who it is you're going to invest your time in, because your time is actually more valuable than your money. I can make more money if I want to, but I can't get more time. I mean, yesterday's gone. I can never get yesterday back, ever. But if I accidentally spent too much money yesterday, I can get that back. That can happen, right? So you have to be very, very careful how you spend your time and your energy. From now on, I need you to see, this is how I'm spending my money. This is how I'm spending my family's future. And so when I invest my time and my energy into someone, I need to know this is something I can bet my money on. Does that make sense? And again, this does not mean that we devalue or shame other people. It just simply means we continue motivating them until they're ready to step up to the plate. That doesn't make us bad people. We're still giving them the resources, still giving them the opportunities. They're invited to come join us on the field anytime they want if they just prove to us that they can show up for practice. But if I do not put these stipulations on it, I need you to understand I'm not helping people, I'm enabling people. I want you to pretend that every single time your kids beg for more, instead of making them do more chores to earn it, you just give it to them. And you keep telling them, guys, here's the thing. And we're all bad at this. We're all parents. None of us are perfect at this for sure. But you say to your kids, here's the thing. I'd love to give you more opportunities, but you're going to have to earn it because that's how the real world works. And then they throw a fit and they cry and they complain. So you just give it to them anyways. Is that good parenting? No. It's not to say we don't do it sometimes, okay? Let's be honest. We've all done it before. But that is not good parenting. That is teaching your kids an unrealistic reality and they're going to get their asses handed to them when they become adults. Now, if you ask me, there's plenty of ass handing when we all become adults as it is, with or without responsibility. So like, we need to prepare our kids the best that we can, right? But the same is true for business owners, guys. Nobody in the world is going to give your girls an immediate win because they whine or complain or ask for it. They're only going to have success if they learn to work for it. And so the more you give them attention every single time they struggle, every single time they're having problems, the more you're enabling them and teaching them a principle that doesn't really exist in the rest of the world. So I need you to get really good at saying things like, that's such a great question. Why don't you go ask that in the team page so that everyone can learn from the answer? And then what you'll find, instead of answering the same question for 20 different people, you answer it once for everyone to see. And then anytime anyone ever asks that question again, you say, hey, I actually answered that question one time. Why don't you go into the Facebook group and search for these keywords, and you'll find the conversation we had. Even better, what I found is if you just give people a couple minutes to have to go ask it somewhere else, one, they go find the answer for themselves. They were just looking for a quick answer. Or two, before you ever get a chance to even answer the question, someone else answers it for them. And you saved time and you saved energy, and you can keep doing things that grow your business. Does that make sense? Now with mentorship, I just want to cover a couple things. When you do find the people that are showing up for practice and are doing the work, there's a couple things that I want to teach you to do. Number one, I want you to go over and above for these people. I do want you to go behind the scenes with these people. I do want you to find out, what is it they're doing that's holding them back? What is it? Like, I'm willing to dive into the inbox with that person. I'm willing to go over and above for the person that I know and can trust will actually go use the things that I gave them. The other thing that's really important is this thing that I call true accountability. And true accountability means I don't believe what you say. I only believe what you can show me. And that's why I'm a big fan of trackers. I want you to show me on a tracker how many conversations you started this week, how many people you invited to join your team this week, how many days you did personal development. I need to see all of this on paper, or I don't believe you did it. And it's not because I think people are liars. It's because of this one simple thing that has literally changed my life, okay? We judge others based on their actions, and we judge ourselves based on our intentions. Now, when you're mentoring someone and you ask how their week went, they're going to go ahead and tell you what they think their week went like based on what their intentions were, not necessarily based on what their actions were. And you can go along mentoring that person for 6 months to 12 months. If they don't show you proof of what they're doing, unfortunately, you're going to have a real hard time actually helping them improve, because they're going to go on for 6 to 12 months lying to themselves and lying to you about what they intended to do, not necessarily what they actually did. And so it's very, very, very important when you are actually mentoring someone to set them up on some type of a specific program of activities that you believe are the vital behaviors that need to happen on a daily basis. And you can put them on a digital tracker like what I do with my clients. You can have them send you paper trackers, but at some point you need to see, what kind of actions is this person doing on a daily basis? And I promise you, it will change their lives forever, because they will start to see, oh shit, I thought I was working this hard, but it turns out I was only working this hard. And then they see for themselves how they need to level their game up. And that alone will change their lives forever. I promise you that. Okay. Now, the last word, which is multiply, I want to hit this up real quick. Okay. The only thing it really takes to multiply, guys, is to spend enough time with the people who earned your mentorship. when you spend time with the right people, multiplication happens easier than you could possibly believe. Multiplication is only hard when you're mentoring people who don't really show up for work. But you show me people who show up and do the right actions and are coachable and are willing to implement the things that I give them, you give that person 6 to 9 months and they are a different human being. Because everything that you have gets poured into them. And remember, if they're the kind of people that show up for practice, they're the kind of people who go put into action what you taught them. And I've asked people this millions of times, not literally millions, of course, but you get what I'm saying. I've asked people this. If I gave you a room full of 100 people that were as excited as you and as motivated as you and would do anything you asked them to do you feel convinced that you could help those 100 people become at least as successful as you are today? And every single time people say, well, yeah. I mean, if you gave me people like that, sure. I'm not saying that I could help them become more successful than I am, but I could help them at least do what I've done. And I'll tell them that's essentially all leadership is. If we were to just break it down and simplify it, if I can do the work it takes to get enough people to come through, to find the person that's willing to do the things I give them and come along for the ride, if I can help, most people in network marketing will tell you that if you can help 5 people to achieve what you have already currently achieved, you could make $1 million. Like, it's really not that complicated. What's complicated is we got in such a rush to find our 5 people that we were trying to put these kind of expectations on people who never actually showed up for work. And so it's an ongoing disappointment over and over and over. And so what I need you to do is just be patient. Just be patient. Those 5 people aren't going to show up overnight. They're not going to be the first 5 people that you find, probably not going to be the second 5 or the third or the fourth 5 people. But if you'll just keep modeling, if you'll keep bringing on new people and giving them motivation and giving them tools and resources, what you'll find is about 1 out of every 10 people. I've conferred this with a lot of people, about 1 out of every 10 people you bring onto the team will actually stick around. So that means that even the best of leaders fail 90% of the time. And if I'm you, that's a great stat to hear, because then I don't feel like I'm the one that sucks, okay? Even great leaders fail 90% of the time, because in reality, 90% of the people were like me, who were willing to go down on the court and play with the team and put on the jersey, but really didn't want to show up for practice like that every single day. And that's okay. I also need you to understand that it's not our job to judge why people want to join your team. It's not our job to get offended or upset when people don't want what we want. Some people, like me, just want to go to the game and put on a jersey and cheer on the team and still say after the game, look, we won. Some people, and you got to be careful about this, some people that are your best fans in the world, if you're not careful, you'll start to see as your worst teammates. In any and every championship team, if you watch them after the game, always takes the time to thank their city and their crowd. We have the best fans in the world. And if you're not careful, do you know why they're able to be thankful for their fans? Because they weren't expecting any of them to come down on the field and make the game-winning play. Okay? When you don't put the wrong expectations on people, it makes it a lot easier for you to appreciate them instead of being frustrated with them. So understand, I model, which means I bring on people. I do what I'm supposed to do, whether anyone else responds to it or not. I do what I'm supposed to do. Motivate. Everyone on the team gets equal amount of tools and resources, but that doesn't mean they get personal access to my time, okay? And then the people who earn it, they get me as a mentor, okay? I'm in their corner. I'm here for them. I got their back. I'm willing to go to the nth degree for them. And if I do that with the right people, multiplication happens so naturally and so magically. Does that make sense? So, Angelique, that's all I have for you guys. I do want to just throw this out there. My book that covers all of this, you can actually go to my website, joshcoates.com, and you can get a free copy if you just pay for shipping. So if you go to joshcoates.com, okay, there's an option at the very top. You'll see like a banner across the top. If you click on it, you can get a copy of this for free. Just pay $6.99 for shipping, and we'll get it to you within the next couple of weeks. I will say shipping is taking a little bit longer right now than what it normally takes. If you're in a rush and really want to read it, there's also a ebook version of it that you can get on the Kindle app. Get a lot of people that ask, Josh, what if I don't have a Kindle? The Kindle app is something you can download on your iPhone or your Android, and then you just download books and read it. So there is a Kindle version of this that you can get. I think it's $5 or $10. I don't remember exactly. And then, of course, you'll get an immediate download of it. Okay? Angelique?
Yeah.
That's all I got. If you want to have some follow-up questions or whatever.
Yeah, if you guys want to unmute yourselves, if you guys have some questions for Josh, I'll tell you this was the thing he talked about to me that I honestly was like, it makes so much sense. And I've been applying this since January. It's been really effective for me. I love the idea of the tracker, Josh. Honestly, it does keep me focused. It keeps me in my game, and not willy-nilly and thinking I'm doing things when I'm not doing things. I love the mentor. I love the modeling. I love it all. It's just something that it's just a great way to kind of condense it all into one simple strategy and know what to do every single day. I mean, that's the other thing. It's like some people are like, I don't know what to do. This is like an easy thing to say. I do know exactly what to do. So if anybody wants to ask Josh a question, feel free. We have a few more minutes before he has to hop off, but just thought I would open that up.
Hey, Sue, also, I heard you talking when I first got on. I don't know if you use Canva or not, but Canva is kind of like a free design thing. They actually have Zoom templates on there right now because the whole world's gone virtual. You can go on there and they've got a whole bunch of templates where you can either take other people's designs or put together your own designs just for Zoom.
That's awesome.
Thank you very much. There's another website, Unsplash, UNSPLASH, whatever it is. They have some beautiful photos as well.
Cool.
But Canva, knowing that it's right for Zoom, that'll work. Because
I love Canva. I use Canva for all of my graphics.
Yeah, I can see that it gets a little funky, but this is a lot better than the hi-hats that are above my head. Trust me.
Gotcha.
Cool, though. That's really neat. I didn't know that. I have a paid version of Canva too. All right. Well, it doesn't sound like anyone's got any questions. If you do, interrupt me. Josh, that was really great. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Of course.
I know that this has been to be honest with you, I mean, for me personally, I'm so grateful to be working from home because my life really hasn't changed. Honestly, it really hasn't. I know a lot of people are not getting up and going to work and are wondering what's going to happen. And honestly, I'm not there. So it's
I actually just had one of the best weekends I've had in months. I feel like, obviously there are a lot of people being affected negatively, but I also think that there are a ton of people right now at home, guys, that are just needing something, right? And so like people are just sitting around watching for something to get involved with, for something to purchase, for something interesting, whether that be your products or your business opportunity. I do want to make sure I say before I get off the call, do not be discouraged by the fact that the news is telling us that the world is shutting down. I mean, of course, more people are staying home because we have to, but people are sitting around on their phones and laptops and they're spending money. I mean,
well,
and again,
I want to say something to that because I actually, somebody had a boutique party. We were supposed to actually go to a boutique on Friday night, I think it was. And the gal was in her boutique and she was wearing all her clothes and people bought, a lot of money for her clothes. Well, I got my stuff and I was like, kind of like, okay, the next time we go out. But the thing with our product is I really always want my nails to be done, whether I'm in home or like I got these really cute wedges, Josh. They were so cute. where the hell am I wearing these wedges, Josh? Until we're free out of here. But to be honest, I always want my nails to be done. So I feel like we have an opportunity here where, you know, a lot of people are like, I can't buy an Easter outfit right now, but I really, you have to look at it in that light, because it's actually really true. People want to buy something. It's retail therapy for a reason. And if they can't go anywhere, you know, if they're like, well, why would I buy that? I'm not going anywhere, but I want to feel good. And this is affordable. So it's really a good way to look at it.
Yeah. And let's be real. We live in the United States. People don't buy stuff because they need it or because they can use it. You know, right? We buy things because it makes us feel good. And I don't mean that in any type of shallow, maybe it is a little shallow, but you know what? That we're blessed enough that we have parents and grandparents and great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents that worked their asses off and fought in wars so we could live in a day and age where we buy stuff to feel good. And you know, maybe that's right or wrong, but it is what it is. We live in a culture where we are blessed enough that, like, we're all sitting around using laptops and iPhones right now. We don't really need any of that stuff. We have it because we were probably at Best Buy or the Apple store, and we were like, that looks really great. I like that. Like, that makes me feel good. And so shopping is all about making people feel good. And if you have a product that does that, my God, let the world feel. If there's ever been a time that we need to just let people feel good, let people feel good.
Yeah, and you know, I would like everyone to kind of do a right now on the replay, or right now, like, do an inventory. Have you guys bought anything since this whole thing has started? And if it wasn't a necessity, what was it, and how much did you spend? And think about that, because the reality is I have, you know, and I am not a huge shopper. I mean, I will be the first to tell you, I am not one to like do all this crazy shopping. But to be honest, I did want to like feel normal. I wanted to feel normal, and to be honest, I want something to arrive on my doorstep. I don't care if it's in my mailbox or by my door. I want something to show up so I can like enjoy it, you know? So
people are also working from home, and they're typing away, women mainly, obviously, and they're looking at their nails looking like crap. I've sold more out of my inventory in the last week than I have probably in the last month and a half. I've got events that were canceled.
Social experiment for sure.
Yeah, they can't stand the way their nails look.
Yeah,
that's a great social media post, guys. Take your personal experience, okay? And you might post something on Facebook that says, let's be real. We're all sitting around typing on our computers right now. Always put it in first person, because it doesn't sound like you're insulting anyone, you know? And you might say something like, and I just happened to look down at my nails and realize, oh God, these need some work, and I can't go anywhere right now. That's one of the reasons I went immediately, ordered some more nail colors, designs, blah, blah, blah. Because let's be real, it just makes me feel beautiful. It makes me feel good. And that right there is a post that people makes. The thing with it is, the more you can make people consciously aware of something that maybe was going on, but they just hadn't thought about yet. Like, maybe they had that moment, but hadn't taken it as deep as Sue, because Sue obviously thinks about nails more because she sells them, right? But now Sue has done something subconsciously to all of her followers, that the next time they're typing, subconsciously they look down and go, well, my nails look like shit too. I guess I need, and that's, you know, and that's what marketing and advertising is really all about, is making people subconsciously aware of a problem they didn't really realize they had, but they did have, and now they are aware of it. And now they're more drawn to think about, I'm going to hit up Sue, see what kind of colors and what, I don't even know what this shit is, but I'd like to know, like, let's find out about it, you know, because I don't like looking like this.
Yeah, I can't even tell you how many people, it makes me laugh. They were the ones that I was like, you're not my girl because you get your nails done. And now they're my girls because they can't get it done. And they're not used to it. They've been going for years. So they're used to it, and they're like, oh God, I mean, they're really, so we really have an amazing, you know, we have an amazing opportunity to challenge ourselves to get out of that space of, I don't have anything to offer right now. Because I'll be honest, I'm in there sometimes. At the same time, though, I'm like, God, did I buy something? Yeah, I sure did. Why? Why did I do that? Oh, and how would I have known about that if I hadn't seen it?
Right.
So we are all in the same boat, and I just so appreciate you coming on, Josh, and everybody here who's taken the time out of their night. I know away from their families and things like that. I'm sure some of us needed that.
I'm happy to get away from my family.
You're
Don't get me
welcome,
wrong.
everyone. You're welcome.
Thank you.
But
I
thank
appreciate
you
you.
so much, and I really appreciate you all, as you well know. And Josh, thanks again. I can't wait. He's going to pop on again a little later in the month with a different training, but really appreciate everybody. And we'll have a good night. See you in the morning, and take care. Bye,
Good night, guys.
everybody.
Thank you.